DFS community, welcome into the Week 6 edition of one of the most accurate DFS shows in the industry. This is episode number 86 of the Adjusted Line Play Report, where we take a deep dive into the play in the trenches to determine game script and player outcomes. This show is presented by Zilla Fantasy Elite. I am your host, Todd Hoffman, and you can find myself over on Twitter at Todzilla1337. And you can find Zilla Fantasy Elite over on Twitter at Zilla Fantasy. Cold takes, never heard of them. Today's show is powered by Monster, Zero Ultra, Zero Sugar, all swagger, baby. Looking to keep your DFS lineup lean and mean this week? You're in the right place. This is the Adjusted Line Play Report, and this is presented by Zilla Fantasy Elite and hosted by myself, Todd Hoffman. Crack open a monster, tune in, and let's unleash the beast. Zero sugar, all swagger. Oh, that's good stuff, folks. All right, that is in jest. I don't need Monster coming after me. They do not sponsor me. Just some fun play with words here as we kick off this Week 6 edition of the Adjusted Line Play Report. So let's get into it, folks. What we're going to be doing, looking at this London Island game, and then we're going to get into the main slate. 10 games on the main slate. Then we'll get into Sunday Night Football and 2 Monday Night Football games here. So another interesting week here with a London game and a couple Monday Night Footballs. So let's get into it. Let's first look at this first one here, which is in London, Denver and the Jets. Jets technically a home game here, but we have that 43.5 Vegas game total on the lower end. If you're playing island game matchups, this is when I start considering kickers, maybe a defense getting involved. Just keep that in mind. It's not a very good game total. Denver are 7-point favorites here. It's a 25.25 team implied total then for Denver. The Jets, they're at an 18.25 team implied total. And if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of all of these numbers, go back, look at the Thursday night theory that we put out for Week 6 here. The Philadelphia Eagles and New York Giants. Despite what happened in that game, you can learn how we kind of look at these numbers and come to the conclusions that we do for any of the game outcomes. It was basically the exact opposite of what happened on Thursday from what was expected. And I mean, you can certainly blame me and say, hey, he doesn't know what he's doing. But Vegas also had the Giants as 7.5 point home underdogs. They pulled out the victory there against Philadelphia. I don't think Vegas or anyone like that is putting into account just how bad that Philadelphia offense is. Anyway, let's get started here. Denver and the Jets. Offensive pass protection for Denver, number 3. The Jets, number 20 in the pass rush. This is telling me, hey, Denver doesn't take a lot of sacks. They do get the ball out quick, and Nix is mobile, so that's part of the reason this is an adjusted sack rate. Despite that, the Jets here not generating a lot of sacks. I don't know what their pressure rate is, but they're not generating a lot of sacks. Typically, when you see outcomes like this, that team is going to have a lot of time to throw the ball. I would expect that to continue here for Denver, so it's a good opportunity there for their pass game. Pass DVOA number 16 versus the Jets, dead last and 32 in that pass DVOA on defense. So Denver, despite being middle of the pack, should be able to move the ball really well in the air here against the Jets. Should have plenty of time to throw, not getting pressured, and then they should be very effective when they do pass. Could be one of those games with time to throw and being hyper efficient like that, where these deep bombs become more of a prominent feature. You know, Franklin's gotten involved in that. You could see Mims get involved in that capacity. Otherwise, you might just see it continue to be the Cortland Sutton show there, but really think they're going to be able to take advantage of some of these deep shots, and I wouldn't be shocked to see that happen in this game. The run game is also an okay matchup here. Denver, number 5 in run blocking. The Jets, 13th in stopping the run. And then run DVOA, Denver 9, Jets 13. Usually that's close enough where I say, hey, slight advantage there for the offense, but it's close. It's kind of an even up matchup. In those scenarios, I say studs eat. I don't know if J.K. Dobbins is that after all of the injuries, but with a positive game script or the positive end on the offensive side for both of these run categories, I would expect the run game to be decent and this pass game to be very effective. So Denver should be able to move the ball up and down the field here against the Jets in London. Expect a lot of fantasy points for the Denver team overall in this matchup. Jet side, though, Denver number 1 in that defensive pass rush, generating lots and lots of sacks. The Jets 27th in offensive pass protection, taking lots and lots of sacks. I would expect that to continue here. Probably not going to be a good day at the office for Justin Fields. I'd expect him to not have much time to throw, be under pressure, probably making mistakes. It's also going to lead to him probably scrambling more on those dropbacks, but really, I think the Jets understand what the Denver defense brings to the table. They're probably going to game plan to get the ball out a little bit quicker. It's probably going to be really good for Breece Hall and Mason Taylor in a matchup like this. You're going to see a lot of underneath throws, which we've kind of already seen most of this season anyway. You look, hey, it's the first half. Justin Fields is 9 of 17 passing for 45 yards. And you're like, how the heck does he have 9 completions for 45 yards? But that's really how they've been operating as a pass game. The pass DVOA is a little bit closer. The Jets still in the red at 25, Denver 17. Slight favor here for Denver's defense, but really indicating to me that Jets are going to need to get the ball out quick. May see Taylor and Breece Hall with a lot of targets in this matchup. And then, maybe a few more scrambles there from Justin Fields as he's getting under pressure there. The run game, more even up here. So Denver 19 in stopping the run. The Jets 19 in run blocking. Very even here. Breece Hall, one of those guys that maybe can overcome this at a standard day at the office. The run DVOA in the favor of the defense here. Number 11 for Denver. Number 19 for the Jets. Basically saying, hey, play-by-play basis, we should see a decent amount of yardage here for Breece Hall. A little bit behind the ball here. Really looking like the Jets are going to struggle on offense here against this Denver defense, especially if Denver is going to be scoring points. It's really going to force the Jets into passing scenarios, which is not good for them. I don't know if they score 18.25 points, and it'll look really bad probably for the first 3 quarters until Denver has a 30-point lead, and then they kind of ease up on there. But Jets really looking bad for them. I think Denver at 25.25 could probably score more than that, especially if the defense is putting up some points or putting a lot of pressure and creating turnovers there for the Jets offense. Anyway, that's a London game. Should be an interesting one. If you're attacking it in a island game matchup, I'd be looking for either Breece Hall or Mason Taylor from the Jets as the only 2 real good options there. Fields will be popular, but I don't think he's going to have that good of a game. And he could certainly produce several turnovers, which you don't want in DFS. And then getting a bunch of people from Denver here. This offense should be humming. I think Bo Nix should be very effective. Pass catchers should be very effective. And then we should see that run game also very effective in scoring points in this. All right, getting into the number 1 game on the slate, we have Dallas heading into Carolina as 3-point road favorites on a 49.5 Vegas game total, so very healthy total there. This gives Dallas a 26.25 team implied total, Carolina at 23.25 for their team implied total. Good for 3rd and 10th best on the main slate out of 20 teams. Really 2 bad defenses here going against these offenses. Dallas, number 5 in offensive pass protection. Carolina, 31st in the pass rush. Very, very heavily in the favor of Dallas here. Should have plenty of time to throw, not take any sacks. I would expect them not to be under a lot of pressure, which is always going to be good for that pass attack. Pass DVOA, Dallas, number 12. Carolina, 23rd. Heavily in the favor of Dallas here. Should have time to throw. Should be very effective when they do. Could see another repeat from last week with Flournoy doing very well, and then Pickens ended up scoring. I think he only had 43 yards on 2 catches, but one of those was a touchdown. He could go off in a matchup like this. Depends on what Cavante Turpin's doing. If he's in there, he might help take away some of those catches from Flournoy. But really think Pickens, if we do have Turpin comes back, will be the big beneficiary here. But keep in mind, if he's out, Flournoy and Pickens would probably be the biggest beneficiaries. Could be one of those. We've seen Ferguson just absorb a ton of targets since we've had CD Lamb out. In a situation like this, I would typically say, hey, this doesn't favor tight ends very much in a situation like this, but he has been heavily targeted. Keep that in mind as well. Regardless, Dallas should be very effective when they do pass the ball. Even if Ferguson gets 5-6 targets in this matchup, not as much as he's been getting, he should be very effective with those 5 or 6 targets. The run game is also very juicy. Dallas 3rd in run blocking, Carolina 20th in stopping the run. Run DVOA for Dallas number 1 in the league. Carolina middle of the pack there at number 14. All to say, hey, Dallas should be moving the ball very effectively against this Carolina defense. Pass game is very good. Run game is very good. They're going to put up a lot of points. Good for Javonte Williams and company there. Should really be pushing the pace as well. They're number 5 in offensive neutral situation. I'd expect them to score hot and heavy here against this Carolina team. Carolina side, they're number 14 in offensive pass protection. Dallas 27th in the pass rush. This is telling me Bryce Young should have some time to throw the ball, which is good for him. I think he's a solid quarterback when he has time to throw there, and this is a scenario that looks like he should be good. Pass DVOA, they've been really inefficient when they have been passing. That's why they're ranked 28th, but Dallas at 30th. Tells me, hey, Carolina is going to be a lot more effective passing the ball this week than they otherwise have been this year. It's going to be good for Bryce Young. I think this is where Tet McMillan, he's been absorbing a lot of targets here in Carolina. I think that continues in this matchup, especially if Dallas is putting up points. This could turn into a very juicy shootout where it does look like the offense of Carolina should be good in the pass game anyway. It's a really, really good scenario for Tet McMillan. Just watch out. Jatavian Sanders should be back for this. I think he was ruled healthy now for this week. That could change things a little bit. He's been out the last couple of weeks, but really like Tet McMillan in this spot for Carolina in this matchup. And then on the run blocking side, Dallas actually number 7 stopping the run, so they do get a lot of tackles at or behind the line of scrimmage on defense. Carolina number 9, though, in offensive run blocking. This is a pretty even matchup. We do have Chuba Hubbard ruled out, so it's going to be another game here for his backup, Rico Dowdle. And I really think he's not really a stud, but he had a really good game last week. This is kind of an even-up matchup. Should be pretty well blocked. He's going to be able to get what he gets in front of him. In terms of the run DVOA, though, Dallas 23rd, Carolina 13. That is in the favor of Carolina. I would expect them, getting positive yardage at a standard rate, but then their run play should be somewhat explosive against this Dallas defense. So the 49.5 Vegas game total, I think that is number 1 on the slate for a reason. Dallas looks like they're going to put up plenty of points. I would expect them to be able to clear 26 points pretty easily in this matchup. And then they're going to push Carolina to be able to pass the ball a little bit more. It's always a little bit more effective. It does look like they're going to be effective passing the ball. It looks like they're going to be effective running the ball. That could lead to them running the ball more and running out the clock, but I do think Carolina very capable of putting up 24 to 30 points of their own. I actually like the over on this Vegas game total of 49.5. A lot of times I'm not interested when it gets that high of betting the over, but this one on paper looks like it could be very, very juicy indeed. All right, and then we have actually 3 games here tied for the number 2 game total on the slate, on this main slate at 47.5. So pretty healthy total here. Nice to see several games up this high. Arizona and Indianapolis is the very first one we're going to look at. Indianapolis at home, 7-point favorites right now as of Friday night recording. That gives Indianapolis a 27.25 team implied total. That is second best on the main slate out of the 20 teams. Arizona at 20.25 is 15th ranked. getting into the Arizona offensive side, it's been a boo-hoo pretty much all season for them. They're all red in these offensive categories. Kyler Murray, not necessarily playing great football, not necessarily playing awful football either, just their offense doesn't look good under him. So they are 30th in offensive pass protection. Indianapolis middle of the pack at 16. Indianapolis should be able to generate some pressure on Arizona. I expect that to continue this week. In the pass DVOA, Arizona 23rd, Indianapolis number 4. So this is a red-green matchup. I'd expect that pass game to be very inefficient here in Indianapolis for the Arizona Cardinals. The run game, Arizona run blocking 28th, Indianapolis number 23 in stopping the run. So Arizona might gain positive yardage more than they're used to. They are out Benson and Connor, so it looks like we have Michael Carter going to be taking over that role. He's probably going to have a big role after the blunder from Emery DeMarcado last week, dropping the ball right before the end zone. So I'd expect him to get all the work, but should be gaining positive yardage at an okay rate against this Indianapolis defense who hasn't been very good. Run DVOA, though, Arizona 29, Indianapolis 16. That's in the favor of the defense. I would say that's going to lead to less explosive runs here for Arizona, combined with under pressure, not very effective pass game, the run game not being super effective. This tells me Arizona is not going to score a lot of points. I'd expect, a couple field goal attempts at least out of them before things get out of control, and they maybe try going for it on 4th down. So Chad Ryland, I believe, is their kicker. He probably could have a decent fantasy game, but I would not be particularly interested in a lot of these other people in DFS. Michael Carter, if you're in a huge league and you're starting 11 or 12 people and have a bunch of flex spots, he is definitely viable in a scenario like that. But other than that, I'm looking to avoid this Arizona team this week. Indianapolis side, they are number 1 in offensive pass protection, so not taking a lot of sacks there for Daniel Jones. And the defensive pass rush for Arizona is 25th, so not generating a lot of sacks for them. Despite that, they are number 9 in pass DVOA, but this tells me Indianapolis shouldn't be getting sacked that often. They're probably going to have some time to throw the ball against this Arizona defense. The problem is, I think Arizona's pass DVOA here at number 9, they are pretty good at preventing the explosive fantasy plays and the explosive plays on a play-by-play basis. So despite Indianapolis being number 2 in that regard, they'll probably find it a little bit more difficult this week, despite having time to throw the ball to do well against this Arizona defense. The run game is pretty even up. Arizona number 8 in stopping the run. Indianapolis number 11, pretty even there. And then run DVOA, Arizona 7 on defense, Indianapolis 8 on offense. Really even there. Typically in these situations, I say, hey, if it's a neutral situation like this, studs eat. They can overcome these very evenly matched offensive and defensive lines. They go and say, hey, I'm taking over this game. You guys doing what you're doing on the blocking side, and I will take over. So despite having some time to throw, I think this is another Jonathan Taylor game, especially if Arizona is not putting up any points. And it does look like Indianapolis, even though they may not be as efficient on offense, through the air, this run game, I think with Jonathan Taylor there, being the stud that he is, should produce pretty well, getting them some scoring opportunities. And I think probably getting Indianapolis a lot more run attempts as they run up the score here against Arizona. So watch out for that. I think this is more of a JT game than a Daniel Jones game, but everything has its way of working out at some point. Could go crazy south and all of this for not, but really looks like on paper Indianapolis should dominate this game. Arizona going to struggle on offense. Expect JT to have a big week. Start him with confidence, obviously. All right, and the next game total here at number 2 on the main slate is Seattle heading into Jacksonville. It's a 47.5 game total. I did put the Vegas line of 0. This kind of depends on where you're placing the bet. Actually, more places than not have Seattle as like a 1 or a 1.5 point favorite. There's 1 or 2 that have it just as a pick'em. They're not sure who's going to do it. And then there's a couple that have Jacksonville as like a 0.5 point or a 1 point favorite. All in all, I just said, hey, it's basically a pick'em. depending on where you go, you can get some different options on there. Jacksonville favored or Seattle favored, or just straight up pick 'em. So I put in a pick 'em on here. 47.5 Vegas game total, giving both teams a 23.75 team implied total. Both good for 7th best on the main slate. Getting into the Seattle side, they're number 5 in offensive pass protection. Jacksonville 30th in that pass rush. This tells me Sam Darnold should have plenty of time to throw. He's not going to be making or taking any sacks. This is good for their offensive output. Seattle is number 1 in pass DVOA, been very efficient and very effective passing it. And unfortunately for them, Jacksonville, despite not getting a lot of sacks, they don't really blitz a whole lot there. They just rush for it and they try to play good sound defense. They've been getting tons and tons of turnovers and takeaways. This is why their pass DVOA is up there at number 8. I think they just have, they've gotten at, I want to say like 3 turnovers per game almost, average throughout these first couple of weeks. It's been crazy for them, but I keep in mind that number 8 could be a little bit inflated by all of the turnovers that they've been getting and interceptions that they've been getting. Regardless, pretty even matchup here. Seattle should have time to throw the ball regardless, but they might not be as effective in the pass game as they have been so far this year. Then the run blocking, Seattle surprisingly 23rd there, so taking a lot of at or behind the line of scrimmage rush attempts. Jacksonville middle of the pack at 15, slight favor there for Jacksonville. I'd expect Seattle not to be super effective running it, maybe getting hit at or behind the line of scrimmage a decent amount. The run DVOA though, Seattle 16, Jacksonville 24, basically flip-flop. They should, despite maybe being a little bit more volatile, well, they'll get a few explosive plays here. They might get several that are tackled behind the line of scrimmage as well. Just more of a volatile output here for Seattle. Jacksonville side, number 7 in offensive pass protection. Seattle 18th in the pass rush. So Seattle's defense was pretty good early in the season. They've now taken on a few injuries, and these numbers are dropping in the pass game. So should have some time for Trevor Lawrence to throw here, not taking a lot of sacks. The pass DVOA pretty even, 15 to 17. In those scenarios, I say studs eat. Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter. Kind of depends on your opinion, but they haven't been that good this year with Trevor Lawrence. I think the big reason is Trevor Lawrence there, but really an even up matchup here with time to throw. Both of those two should be okay this week. On the run blocking side, really even up here. Jacksonville number 4 in run blocking, Seattle number 5 in stopping the run. Jacksonville run DVOA 6 on offense, Seattle number 2 on defense. So really even up matchup, studs eat. I don't think Travis Etienne is a stud running back, but he's been pretty good this year. I think it's more, the result of the offensive line versus him. That probably doesn't do as well this week against the Seattle defense, despite having some injuries. I think Jacksonville can be a little bit better passing the ball with that time to throw. But yeah, one of those scenarios where studs eat. I think Travis Etienne just gets what's blocked in front of him. Maybe he gets lucky and one gets sprung, but really looking like an even matchup there. Both teams relatively fast. So Jacksonville number 10 in offensive neutral situation. Seattle number 14 in offensive neutral situation pace of play. All to say, hey, both of these offenses look like they're not in great spots, but they're not in bad spots. They're just going to probably have to work for each and every drive. I'd expect them to be able to put up some points. It's going to be a back and forth affair, just like Vegas says. They're kind of basically at a pick 'em. And I wouldn't be shocked to see these guys actually produce quite a few field goals in a matchup like this, where they are moving the ball, but maybe they can't punch it into the end zone just because their offenses aren't quite as efficient as they would like to be. So I could see quite a few field goals there. Just keep that in mind on this matchup. And the third and final game on the main slate at 47.5 and tied for second best in this main slate. San Francisco heading into Tampa Bay. We have Tampa Bay with the standard 3-point Vegas home favorite line. On that 47.5 total gives Tampa Bay a 25.25 team implied total, 5th best on the main slate. San Francisco down at 22.25 is actually 12th best out of the 20 teams. San Francisco side, offensive pass protection number 2, Tampa Bay 21. Should be plenty of time to throw for San Francisco. Kind of ironic. This is an adjusted sack rate. Tampa Bay does blitz at an incredibly high rate, so keep that in mind. Mac Jones has actually not been very good against the blitz or against pressure, so keep that in mind. Despite Tampa Bay not having a very good sack rate here and San Francisco being very good at not taking sacks, there probably could be under siege here on those pass attempts. Just keep that in mind. On paper, this looks very good. Behind the scenes, it might not be as good. But really, if we're going just off adjusted line play report, it looks very good for Mac Jones to have some time to throw the ball. He will be without Ricky Pearsall. We did just get notification that him and Brock Purdy are out this week. Pass DVOA, San Francisco has been very good in that department. Number 7, Tampa Bay very poor at 25. Red green matchup. I would expect Mac Jones, if true that he has plenty of time to throw the ball. We're not taking sacks in this situation. They should be very good throwing the ball. Those wide receivers should be very effective in this matchup. The run game, exact opposite. Tampa Bay run defense has been very good for quite some time now. Vita Vea there. They're in the red, number 2 and number 4 in the run category. San Francisco has been really bad all season in that. Number 24, number 30. I would expect that to continue. Very inefficient on the ground, very effective through the air, and that really looks like it's going to continue against this Tampa Bay team this week. And then the Tampa Bay offense, number 9 in pass protection. San Francisco, number 27. Not generating a lot of sacks. I don't think they're generating a lot of pressure in general, so I do expect Baker Mayfield to have time to throw the ball. They are number 8 in offensive pass DVOA. San Francisco 21st. Again, heavily favored here for Tampa Bay. We are going to miss Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, so I don't know who's all going to be catching passes besides Emeka Egbuka. Do we see Cade Otton get involved? He's certainly capable of that. Maybe Sterling Shepard, I believe, is still there. He could get a few more pass catches, but in all likelihood, even though he's got time to throw, if there's nobody else open and they're double or tripling Emeka Egbuka, it's probably going to lead to some dump-offs to Rachaad White. He is a very good pass catcher, so don't be shocked if you see him actually with quite a few targets in this if San Francisco puts effort into stopping Egbuka in this matchup, knowing he's the only real wide receiver threat there this week. Run blocking side, Tampa Bay number 17 in run blocking, San Francisco number 12. Slight favor there for the defense. Run DVOA, big favor for the defense. Number 8 for San Francisco on defense. Tampa Bay 28th in run DVOA. Rachaad White hasn't been an efficient runner his entire NFL career. It looks like that's going to continue in a matchup like this. A little bit behind the ball in terms of getting stopped at or behind the line of scrimmage, and then really not creating any explosive plays. Looks like Tampa Bay going to have to move the ball through the air. Probably a good Baker Mayfield game here and a good Mac Jones game. Could see some back and forth dueling. San Francisco is number 7 in pace of play. Tampa Bay 15th in pace of play. Tampa Bay looks like probably the better of the two pass environments, even though San Francisco's does look very good. I think Tampa Bay could apply some pressure to Mac Jones, and he hasn't been good in that category, but really looks like Tampa Bay pass attack is the only way they're going to move it. Same with San Francisco, and that usually leads to more points. Should be a very good game here. I do think the Tampa Bay line of 3 is good. Wouldn't be shocked to see either of these two teams beat their team implied totals, but Vegas did a good job here, I think, on this matchup. All right, number 5 game on the slate. We have New England and New Orleans. Who would have thought at the beginning of the season there would be a top 5 main slate matchup here? But they have a 46 Vegas game total. New England actually 3.5-point road favorites heading into the Superdome here in New Orleans. Patriots here with a 24.75 team implied total is the sixth best on the main slate. Saints at 21.25 are 14th best out of the 20 teams. New England 28 in offensive pass protection. They've been taking quite a few sacks. The Saints actually number 3 in the pass rush, have been generating a lot of sacks. This tells me Drake may be under quite a bit of pressure in this matchup, needing to scramble or get the ball out quick. So wouldn't be shocked to see some of these running backs get quite a few targets in here. Hunter Henry get involved, and the tight ends getting involved here in a matchup like this where they need to get the ball out a little bit quicker. The Saints, though, pass DVOA-wise, really poor, number 29. Despite generating quite a few sacks, they are 29th in the pass DVOA, so really been getting torched in the pass game. And then that pass DVOA, number 11 for the Patriots. Despite taking a lot of sacks, when they do throw the ball, they are very effective. So watch out for that. If they're dumping it off, we could see some pretty big games from the running backs or tight ends if they're getting a lot of these underneath receptions. They could be very effective against the Saints defense in that regard. Run blocking wise, Patriots number 12, New Orleans 22nd. That's pretty big favor there for New England. Expect them to be able to get positive yardage with each rush attempt. But the run DVOA 25th for New England, 19 for New Orleans. Slight favor there for the defense. Probably just means, hey, a lot of positive yardage here when they do run it, but probably not a ton of explosive plays for New England based off of this matchup. Looking at the New Orleans offensive side, number 17 in pass protection, and the Patriots at 19, really even there. Standard day at the office here for Mr. Rattler. Pass DVOA for the Patriots, number 28. They've been really poor in that regard. Fortunately for the Saints, because they are not very good. They're number 24. So slight favor on both of these for the Saints pass game, but really even matchups. Just tells me, hey, Saints might be a little bit more effective in the pass game this week than they've been otherwise previous to this. Keep that in mind. The run game looks to be really poor for New Orleans here. 20th in run blocking, New England number 4. Expect a lot of behind or at the line of scrimmage rush attempts here from the Saints, and then not being very explosive. Saints number 18, New England number 6 in run DVOA. Would expect that run game to actually struggle quite a bit here in New Orleans. They're going to have to focus a little bit more on that pass game if they want to move the ball. It is by far the better of the two matchups. So interesting one here. Based off of what I see on paper, New England should be all right moving the ball against the Saints. The Saints may be struggling in that run game, pass game, okay. I'd expect Blake Groupie here from the Saints to probably have a pretty big game against New England. I don't know if New England's going to be putting up points hot and heavy. So the game should be close enough where the Saints, hey, maybe they're moving the ball via the pass game. They get within 35 to 55 yards, and then they're kicking field goals from there. So keep that in mind. They do play very fast there in New Orleans, number 1 in neutral situation pace of play. So they're probably going to get quite a few plays off there and needing to pass the ball more than run it in this matchup. And the number 6 game on the main slate here, Cincinnati going into Green Bay. So Joe Flacco can face that Green Bay defense a second time this season. Already played them when he was with Cleveland, and he actually did pull out the victory there in Cleveland when these two squared off there. The defense, the main beneficiary of that, is I think it was like a 17-10 game or 13-10, something really low. This Vegas game total is at 44.5. Green Bay 14.5 point home favorites on this. So we got the worst and the first team on the main slate in this game. 29.5 for Green Bay's team implied total is number 1 on the main slate. Cincinnati at 15 is really low. Barely seen any scores lower than this in the 5 years that I've been doing the show. They are worst on the main slate at 20th. Cincinnati, number 19 in offensive pass protection. Green Bay, 17th in that pass rush. So an even up matchup on paper there, despite Cincinnati not having that great of an offensive line. But the pass DVOA, a different story. Cincinnati, 31st. Green Bay, number 2. Despite maybe having an okay day at the office in terms of not taking sacks or having a lot of pressure, they will not be very effective passing the ball. Remember, this is Joe Burrow and Jake Browning stats in here. Browning throwing a bunch of interceptions. Might be artificially pushing this 31 down a little bit. But Green Bay has been very good in the pass game, number 2. So I don't think that's really going to matter. I think Cincinnati is going to struggle in that pass game. If you got T. Higgins on any of your teams, you likely spent a decent draft capital on him. But I think this is a situation, a game where you can probably sit him in this matchup. He's not going to likely do a ton in this based off of what I see on paper here. Run blocking, very poor for Cincinnati, 32 and 31. Green Bay in the green at 9 and 9. Red-green matchup here, heavily in the favor of Green Bay. I'd expect Chase Brown to have a very poor game in the run attack here. I don't know what his prop bet is, but it's probably not high or not low enough for what he's going to do in this matchup. And I would be interested in betting the under. Wouldn't be shocked to see his total somewhere at like 52.5. Let's go look live and see what we can find. So yeah, his rush line, 45.5 rushing yards. You actually get more money if you bet the over on that. You get less if you bet the under on that 45.5. And honestly, he's only hit that once all season since the Cleveland game. So really not good for him. And this matchup looks really bad. So that 45.5. He's certainly got the ability to pop one that's longer than that in any matchup. But it's really looking bad here. Probably betting the under on that 45.5 despite it being really low. Green Bay side, offensive pass protection number 15, Cincinnati 21st. Slight favor there of Green Bay. Should have an okay amount of time to throw the ball. Pass DVOA, Cincinnati really bad. 27th, Green Bay really good. 5. It should be very explosive passing the ball. This is going to be good for Dobbs and company and Jordan Love in general. I expect them to dominate the run game. Green Bay hasn't been very good this year. 22nd in offensive run blocking. Below average there, and number 14 in the run DVOA, really about average, middle of the pack there for the NFL. So kind of a below average, middle of the pack run offensive line here. But Cincinnati, number 32 in stopping the run, number 26 in run DVOA, both heavily in the favor here of Green Bay. I would expect the run game to actually thrive in a game like this. So it should be an interesting one here for this Green Bay team. Very effective throwing the ball. The run game should be a little bit more effective. This 29.5 point game total makes sense, especially if they're getting turnovers from the Cincinnati side or a bunch of 3 and outs. I'd expect Green Bay to be able to put up some points in this matchup. And the other number 6 game total on the main slate, another lopsided one here. Rams heading into Baltimore on that 44.5 Vegas game total as 7.5 point road favorites, giving them a 26 team implied total. 4th best team implied total on the main slate. Baltimore at 18.5 is the 18th out of 20 teams. Rams offensive pass protection number 12. Baltimore 32 in the pass rush. Not generating a lot of pressure. Rams should have plenty of time to throw, and that's not good news for Baltimore fans because the pass DVOA for the Rams is top 3 at number 3. Baltimore in the red in the bottom 10 at 26. Rams should have plenty of time to throw. They should be very, very effective when they do throw the ball. And as crazy as it sounds, this isn't even the best of the matchups this week. The run blocking for the Rams, number 1. Baltimore 27th in stopping the run. Rams number 2 in run DVOA. Baltimore 27th in run DVOA. So Rams should be able to walk up and down the field here against Baltimore in this game. Expect that offense to be very explosive. Expect them to be scoring a lot of touchdowns too and not settling for field goals on this. They should be very effective in their offensive attack this week. Baltimore, unfortunately for them, 31st in offensive pass protection. Rams, number 11. They don't even blitz that often, but they are getting home. This is bad news. Did have Lamar Jackson ruled out, so we have the Cooper Rush show going to be under pressure here from the Rams. Pass DVOA really even. Rams 13, Baltimore 12. Studs eat in that scenario, but Baltimore going to need to get that ball out quick. Should see some more dump-offs to the tight ends and the running backs in this. If Rams are going to be scoring a bunch of points and up a bunch, I'd expect the backup running back, Justice Hill, to get a little bit more involved in a matchup like this. His over-under, I think, is 16.5 receiving yards. I would not be shocked to see him well over that amount in this game, especially if the Rams are putting up a bunch of points. He's going to be on the field a lot more often, so you could look at that. I don't know what his stat line is in terms of receptions. It looks like 2.5 receptions. I would say he's probably going to be over that as well. So Some prop bets there for you, at least on the Baltimore side, to make you feel a little bit better about how bad they're going to be. Run blocking, really bad. Baltimore 30th and 23rd. The Rams 6 and 10 in stopping the run. Really looks bad here. Rams should be very successful on offense. Baltimore should be very poor on offense. I would expect the Rams to dominate this. The 7.5 Vegas line actually seems a little bit low to me, even though I know the Rams are the away team. It looks like they will blow Baltimore out of the water in this matchup. All right, we got a fun color game here. Is the 8th ranked one on the main slate. Chargers heading into Miami on a 43.5 Vegas game total. The Chargers actually favored by 4 points here on the road. 23.75 team implied total for them. Miami 19.75 team implied total for them. Good for 7th and 16th best on the main slate here out of the 20 teams. Chargers 21st in offensive pass protection. Miami 13th. Miami should be able to get a little bit of pressure here on Herbert in this matchup. It's not crazy, but enough that he might get a little pestered. Pass DVOA in the favor of the Chargers, though. 21st versus Miami 31st. I'd expect the Chargers, even though they might not have a ton of time, to be a little bit more effective when they do pass the ball in this matchup against this Miami defense. The run game does look very juicy here compared to the pass game anyway. 18th in run blocking for the Chargers, 30th in stopping the run for Miami. A big favor there for the offense. And then run DVOA, 15 for the Chargers, 29th for the Dolphins. Big favor there for the Chargers. We got Hassan Haskins and we got Kamani Badal. Those are your options for running backs. The Chargers expected to be favored in this. If they are up, I'd expect a lot more Hassan Haskins. If they're down in this, I'd expect more Kamani Badal. I think he had a very good receiving profile, if I remember correctly, coming in to the league. So that could continue here. But if the Chargers are up, I think Hassan Haskins could actually sneak away with a very big game here for the Chargers, especially if they find themselves a little bit more successful passing the ball in this game. So very interesting one here. Miami 16th in pass protection. The Chargers number 10 in the pass rush. They've been generating quite a few sacks here. Miami might need to get the ball out a little bit quicker. Pass DVOA, Chargers number 12, Miami number 20. So behind the ball here for the Miami offense on the pass game. Wouldn't expect their pass game to be great. A little bit below average matchup for him, for Miami in this pass game. Run game, Miami number 25 in run blocking, so been getting hit at or behind the line of scrimmage very frequently. Chargers been good in that department at number 11. But then the run DVOA, pretty even here. Chargers number 22, Miami 21. All to say, hey, it's probably going to be a very volatile game for Mr. Achane in the run game. Lots of getting stuffed at or behind the line of scrimmage and then ripping off probably a few big runs here and there to make up for a lot of the inefficiencies otherwise. And then with that pass attack needing to get out the ball a little bit quicker, we could see Achane get a little bit more involved there. But it does look like Miami going to struggle a little bit moving the ball. The Chargers probably going to be pretty effective moving the ball, leaning towards Hassan Haskins in this matchup having the better of the days between the two running backs here. I do think the Chargers ultimately pull this out in Miami in this matchup. All right, a battle of the two worst quarterbacks probably in the league right now. Tennessee heading into Las Vegas on a 41.5 Vegas game total. Not even the worst one on the main slate, but we have Vegas actually has 4-point home favorites here over Tennessee, so that gives Vegas a 22.75 team implied total, 11th best on the main slate. Tennessee at 18.75 is the 17th best. Pass protection for the Tennessee Titans, 29th, and pass DVOA, 32nd. They've been really bad in that regards, as bad as it gets pretty much. Fortunately for them, they're facing this Vegas defense, which is 26th in the pass rush. They haven't been that good in generating sacks. Pass DVOA number 22. So this could mean, hey, Tennessee maybe sees a little bit of an improvement here in their pass game. Maybe they're a little bit better than they have been so far this year. They get the ball rolling a little bit better. But really still not a great matchup, just better than perhaps what they've been used to so far this season. And then truly a dead even matchup in the run game. Tennessee 16 in run blocking, Vegas 16 in run stopping. Tennessee 20th in run DVOA on offense, Vegas 20th in run DVOA on defense. All to say, if you got a stud it's going to eat in this, I don't think they do, but Pollard, we did see get most of the work last week as we had Spears coming back. I think this is a situation where it probably gets a little more 65-35 this week for Spears coming off of that ankle injury. I think he gets a little more involved here, and we see Pollard get a little less involved. Not sure what the line is for Pollard and his run prop here, but if it's anything close to 55 or 60, I'm betting the under on that against this Vegas team. I don't think he's going to get the volume, and I don't think Tennessee is going to be very effective in general on offense. All red matchup here for Vegas offense. It's red across the board for them on offense. It's red across the board for Tennessee on defense. Pass protection, 23rd for Vegas, 24th for Tennessee's defense. Vegas probably has a little bit more time to throw the ball in this matchup compared to what they're used to. Vegas 29th in pass DVOA, Tennessee 24th in pass DVOA. Slight favor there for the defense, but Vegas probably finding it a little bit easier to move the ball against this Titans defense compared to what they've had so far this year. And then run game, Vegas has been really bad, 29, Tennessee 26 in stopping the run. Pretty even there, but slight favor for the defense. And then run DVOA, Vegas 26th, Tennessee 31st. Again, pretty even, slight favor for the offense here. I do think Genty is a stud. I think if Vegas is going to be moving the ball a little bit better on offense through the pass game, this run game is probably going to open up. I wouldn't be shocked to see Genty with a large fantasy point total at the end of this game. Does he see 100 yards and 2 touchdowns? I think that's well within the realm of possibilities. I don't know what the prop bet is on 2+ touchdowns for Genty, but I think this is a scenario where they could actually come away with a very good fantasy game in a Vegas game total that looks like garbage to begin with. So Genty really the biggest winner here. I think he has a really good game. Nobody else really you're going to want in any DFS lineups this week. All right, and dropping down now to 38.5 points on the Vegas game total for the worst one on the main slate. We have Cleveland heading into Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh 6-point home favorites, giving them a 22.25 team implied total, 12th best on the main slate. Cleveland actually not the worst at 16.25, but that AFC Central really not good. Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, all really low game totals on this main slate. So kind of a gross division for them this year, unfortunately, for those fans who watch those games. But Pittsburgh 6-point home favorites. Let's get into that Cleveland side. 10th in offensive pass protection, so not taking a ton of sacks. Pittsburgh, though, generating a lot of them. 6 in defensive pass rush, so gaining a lot of sacks. I'd expect them to be able to pressure Cleveland here. We did see Dylan Gabriel. He's very good at getting the ball out. That's kind of how he operates as a quarterback. It's more of a dink and dunk. Read the field, get the ball out quick. So he had, I think, a top 8-ish performance last week against the Vikings in terms of getting the ball out quick. We did see those go to the tight ends mostly. So Fannin and Njoku were really good in that department. Typically, if I think the quarterback's going to be under duress, we're going to see more dump-offs to those tight ends and the running back. So that likely continues this week for those tight ends. And then pass DVOA, Cleveland 30th, Pittsburgh number 11, heavily in the favor of the defense here. Would not expect Cleveland to be very explosive throwing the ball. Really, especially if they're dinking and dunking, that makes sense. Run blocking, Cleveland number 21. Pittsburgh number 10 in run stopping. That's in the favor of Pittsburgh. I expect Judkins and company to get hit at or behind the line of scrimmage frequently. Run DVOA, Cleveland number 27. Pittsburgh number 15. That is in the favor of the defense as well. Wouldn't expect a ton of explosive plays here from Judkins, despite him looking very good. He did have a 65-yard rush attempt called, touchdown. Called back to a holding penalty. The holding penalty clearly sprung him, so kind of a hit or miss there, but Cleveland not very good in that run DVOA. And probably the only people you're going to want. Judkins is startable in your redraft leagues. You're not going to want him for DFS. The tight ends from Cleveland, you could probably consider dart throws in a DFS setting. Cleveland does play fast, and they're expected to be losing in this, so you could see them with a massive amount of targets. A little bit better of a play, not on FanDuel, but over on DraftKings, where you get a point per reception. Pittsburgh side, number 20 in pass protection. Cleveland, number 12 in the pass rush. Slight favor here for Cleveland. They do have Myles Garrett, who can get after the quarterback. Just keep that in mind. But nothing too crazy here. Just a little bit of pressure to be expected on Mr. Aaron Rodgers. And then the pass DVOA is pretty even. Number 19, Cleveland. Number 22, Pittsburgh. Nothing really to write home about there. I'd expect a stud to eat in that scenario. Whether or not you think DK Metcalf is a stud is to be determined. Run, though, Cleveland number 1 in stopping the run and the run DVOA. People just not been able to run on them this year. Pittsburgh 13th and 12th. They've been, a little bit above average, but middle of the pack. I would expect them not to be able to run very effectively. They're probably gonna, lean on the pass game a little bit more in this environment. Really, it's looking gross for both of these offenses. This 38.5 Vegas game total is pretty low. I wouldn't be shocked to see the lower or the under on this matchup. Just not looking good, despite Cleveland throwing or having a fast pace. Pittsburgh very slow, and they're expected to be winning in this matchup. So, not looking good. Field goal fest is probably more of the ilk here for this Pittsburgh-Cleveland game. All right, now that we're through the trash of all of the main slate, let's get into these island game matchups. Detroit and Kansas City, a very healthy 52.5 Vegas game total. If I'm doing island game matchups, this is where I'm getting all offensive players involved. I'm avoiding the defense and kickers typically in a matchup where the Vegas game total is this high. But we do have Kansas City actually as 2.5-point home favorites here against Detroit. A little shocking here. Just based off of what I would think coming in. Figured Detroit maybe a pick 'em at worst, if not slightly favored in this, but that's not how Vegas is seeing it. Kansas City at 27.5 team implied total. Detroit at 25th. Detroit offensive pass protection number 12. Kansas City 8th in the pass rush, been able to generate quite a bit of pressure. I'd expect Goff to be under a little bit of pressure, need to get the ball out quicker. It's going to be good for Laporta, that's going to be good for St. Brown, and that's going to be good for Jahmyr Gibbs. Although the last time I said this, we did see all of a sudden Jameson Williams with like 100 targets in that game, which didn't really make any sense because he's more the downfield threat. But keep that in mind. On paper, it's one of those scenarios where you expect them to get the ball out a little bit quicker. Pass DVOA, Detroit is number 4. Kansas City is 16th in that pass DVOA. I expect Detroit, even though if they're getting the ball out quick, they should be pretty effective moving the ball. In that run game, Detroit number 10 in run blocking, Kansas City 21st. Pretty big favor there for Detroit. I'd expect them to gain positive yardage frequently when they're running. And then the run DVOA number 4, Kansas City 17 on defense. Detroit should be very explosive running the ball. They should be very explosive passing the ball as well, despite needing to get the ball out quick. I'd expect Detroit to be able to put up some points in this. 25 on the road does seem very doable for them based off of this matchup. Kansas City, number 8 in pass protection. Detroit, number 5 in pass rush. Pretty even matchup here, but I would say Patrick Mahomes probably going to be under a little bit of duress in this against this Detroit defense. And the pass DVOA, Detroit actually very good, number 5. Kansas City, number 10 in the pass DVOA. Slight favor here for Detroit's defense. I wouldn't expect Kansas City offense to be very good throwing the ball in this scenario. If they need to get it out a little bit quicker, it's probably more beneficial for Juju Smith-Schuster and Travis Kelce and maybe some of the running backs in that scenario. But really tough, hard-fought NFL matchup here. Maybe Mahomes was studly enough to overcome that, but really one on paper that I'd be shying away from in general. Kansas City, run blocking, number 8. They've been good in that department. Detroit, number 17 in run stopping. So I'd expect some positive yardage here out of the Kansas City Chiefs when they do run it. Just probably not getting very many explosive plays. We haven't seen that all season. necessarily, but Kansas City number 7 in the run DVOA, Detroit number 3, slight favor for the defense there. Really even matchup here for Kansas City. Detroit does look like they should be able to move the ball pretty effectively. I do think this is going to be a close game, but I'm going to go ahead and hit the upset alert here. I think Detroit goes into Kansas City as I suspected earlier before seeing this on paper. Kind of figured Detroit would pull this one out against Kansas City, even though this is in Arrowhead Stadium or wherever Kansas City is playing these days. I'd expect Detroit to win this based off of what I'm seeing on paper as well. All right, we got 2 Monday Night Football games, so if you're playing a 2-game slate, keep that in mind. Both Vegas game totals actually at number 50, so and actually both Vegas lines are 4.5-point favorites. So we have 2 teams tied for the first and 2 teams tied for the third best total. Buffalo heading into Atlanta in the Dome. They are 4.5-point road favorites, giving them a 27.25 team implied total. Atlanta 22.75 for their team implied total. Buffalo 18th in pass protection, a little bit below average there in terms of sacks taken. Atlanta number 4 in the defensive pass rush. They've been very good at getting sacks, so that probably is indicative that we'll see Josh Allen scrambling more under a little bit of pressure, needing to get the ball out quicker. It's probably good for James Cook in this scenario. It's going to be good for Khalil Shakir, and it's going to be good for Dalton Kincaid on that matchup. Pass DVOA, Buffalo number 6, been pretty explosive, but Atlanta number 1 in pass DVOA. So I'd expect Buffalo needing to get the ball out quickly. They're not going to be very explosive in this matchup, and that's probably why it's going to go through Shakir and Cook and Kincaid and not be as effective as if they're airing it out a little bit more in this environment. The run blocking, though, for Buffalo, number 2 in run blocking, Atlanta 24th. Expect a lot of positive yardage every time that Buffalo does run the ball. James Cook could be very good in that department. And then the run DVOA, Buffalo number 3, Atlanta 12. Not as big of a favor for Buffalo in this, but still a good one. I think if Buffalo is going to move the ball here against Atlanta, it's going to be on the back of James Cook. He looks to be in line for a big game here, both on the ground and then probably getting involved in the pass game. If you're playing any slate games or, single game or just Monday night slate, I think he's going to be a very good option here in this matchup. Atlanta number 4 in pass protection, so not taking a lot of sacks, good for them. Buffalo, though, number 7 in the pass rush, generating a lot of sacks. Michael Penix should be under a little bit of pressure in this matchup, or at least more than he's used to. Number 19 in offensive pass DVOA for Atlanta, Buffalo 14. Atlanta a little bit behind the ball there. Really an even matchup here, nothing to write home about. I would say it's probably going to continue to be the Drake London and Pitt show there. We do have Darnell Mooney coming back, so he could get involved a little bit too. He is a really good NFL player, a good number 2 to have on your teams. Just an even up matchup all together there on the Atlanta offensive pass side. And then the run game, Atlanta 14th in run blocking, Buffalo 14. Even up matchup, studs eat. I'd expect, at or behind the line of scrimmage, a typical amount of time in this one. The run DVOA, though, Buffalo 30th, Atlanta 17th in run DVOA on offense. Very heavily in the favor of Atlanta here. I'd expect Bijan Robinson to be able to rip off some explosive run plays. So really looking like both teams' run games will be very effective, but the pass game's not as effective. Both teams actually play pretty slow. Buffalo 30th in offensive neutral situation pace of play. Atlanta 27th. Considering the run games are going to be where it's effective, the pass game is going to be a little bit less than effective. I say this Vegas game total of 50 is not going to hit. It's going to be the under in this matchup. That's the way I'm looking at this. I don't see these teams putting up a ton of points based off of this unless they're really ripping off some long runs and scoring some long touchdowns on those runs. All right, in the other Monday Night Football game, we have Chicago heading into Washington. Washington, the 4.5-point favorites in this one, giving them that 27.25 team implied total, in Chicago at 22.75. Chicago's offensive pass protection number 10, so they haven't been taking as many sacks in situations where you wouldn't expect it, which is good for them. It's a big turnaround from last year. Washington, number 8 in the defensive pass rush, so I'd expect Caleb Williams to be under a little bit of duress in this, need to get the ball out a little bit quicker. That's going to lead to some more dump offs, either to the running backs, tight ends, or some of those underneath routes. Not really sure who's running those as a wide receiver for Chicago, but they're probably going to get a little bit more involved in this matchup. Could be Olamide Zaccheaus. Watch out for that one. Coming back from the bye, too, we could have Chicago getting Luther Burden more involved in that. We could see some screenplays, and wouldn't be shocked to see him come through in a matchup like this. Pass DVOA, Chicago 14, Washington 18. Pretty even matchup there. Studs eat maybe in that scenario. Rome Odunze has been good in that regards. I don't know if he's going to get as involved, though, if they're under pressure. Just watch out for that. Could be an interesting one here for Chicago coming out of the bye, getting things in place. Rome Odunze, Luther Burden maybe getting a little bit more involved in this matchup. Run blocking very poor for Chicago, 27th and 32nd. Washington on defense, 3rd and 5th. Huge favor here for Washington's defense. I would say they're going to be able to stuff Mr. DeAndre Swift on his runs this game. Not going to be a good game for DeAndre Swift, unfortunately. So bad game for him unless he's getting some receptions. And then the Washington side, 23rd in offensive pass protection. Chicago 29th in the pass rush. Despite Washington taking some sacks, we should see them with plenty of time to throw. It's good for Jaden Daniels. Number 9 in offensive pass DVOA, so pretty good in that department for Washington. Chicago 20th in pass DVOA. I'd expect Jaden Daniels to be able to pass the ball all over Chicago here, be very explosive, have time to throw. Should be good for the Washington pass catchers here. If we get Terry McLaurin back, I think he could see a large fantasy output in this matchup. Same with Deebo Samuel. And then on the running side, Chicago's been very bad at stopping the run, 31st and 28th. Washington, number 7 in run blocking, number 5 in run DVOA. Should be very effective running the ball here for Washington. Very good on offense, very explosive. Chicago probably going to struggle a little bit more. Washington does play very fast. Chicago does play very fast. Both teams green in the neutral situation. Chicago 10, Washington 4. Considering this Vegas game total is 50, I'm not going to say anything about that, but I do think Washington will be scoring the majority of the points in this. I don't know if Chicago can keep pace, but Washington looks to be very explosive, very effective running the ball and passing the ball in this. I'm going to say they hit their over on this 27.25 team implied total. Whether or not Chicago can keep up their end to get this Vegas game total over 50, I don't know. I just feel very strongly Washington looking more towards like a 30-point to 35-point output this week. All right, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Week 6, again, powered by Monster Zero Ultra. Unleash your beast. That's what we're going to do this week, folks. Very good info here. Feeling very solid about the adjusted line play this week. I think you're going to get some solid output and make some money on those prop bets and on those DFS lineups. It's looking good for you, folks. Let's go out there, win some money together. Peace.